Do you remember back in school where you had an assignment due at 11:59 and you left it till 10:30 because the task at hand seemed easy, but then you realize you're screwed and just slap something together hoping to get a passing grade, which is always better than getting chastised by the teacher in front of the whole class? Now, apply the same logic to the recent Hell Let Loose Update 15 trailer. I know some people might say, oh, it's just a trailer, it doesn't matter, but this is possibly one of the funniest yet most incompetent things I've ever seen from a proper studio that's listed on a stock exchange. Because when Team 17 took over a couple months ago, some people were already cautious, but I tried to stay optimistic. The roadmap looked great, and the interview video, they looked like a bunch of passionate people, and one of their selling points is that they want to focus on historical accuracy going forward, which right off the bat they kind of went back on. And this is why the gloves are coming off, because this is just one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. But I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt after each previous update, because they're the new guys, they're probably just getting into their groove, but this trailer, on God, was just something else. So to start off, we have Eisenhower giving his famous speech, which if you've played Postscriptum or even Medal of Honor Frontline, you've probably heard.
To embark upon the Great Crusade. The eyes of the world are upon you.
But for some reason, they've used an AI voice.
I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle.
Which I don't really understand, since anyone can just come along and slap the original video into a YouTube MP3 downloader and use it, and it would definitely have more gravitas. I'm trying to use more fancy words, but it gives it more of an impact knowing it's the real person giving said speech and not some bot, because it makes you feel proud. You know, I'm not an American and I have no relatives who would have participated in this event, but you know, it just makes it feel more impactful emotionally. And I'm pretty sure Eisenhower would have been smarter than to deploy these paratroopers in the middle of the day with red parachutes, which you can get the white parachutes for $5.99 in the store that'll be coming soon. Obviously, I'm joking. I also want to add machine gun belts around the neck. I've stuck my hand out of cars going very fast, so I imagine jumping out of a moving aircraft with this could potentially lead to catastrophic injury or death. But as he's jumping out, we see the absolute beautiful French countryside, which contains the same level of detail. 12-year-old me opening up Far Cry 2's map editor and slapping some trees and a house down into this completely empty field. I also just love how the Germans have the courtesy to put down some sandbags for the paratroopers beforehand, which, speaking of paratroopers, that's just not going to be a thing. Apparently, according to someone on the Discord who's actually affiliated with the development of Hell Let Loose, paratroopers aren't a thing, so I don't know why they're advertising it as this. At least when Postscriptum did it, they actually went through with the paratroopers, but once the paratroopers hit the ground, it just gives off mobile RTS vibes, because the muzzle isn't even aligned properly. And to give you some context, my mate, who was big into video editing when we were 14, he was able to edit in gunshots with the smoke effect that looked much more believable than this for his short movies. But moving on, this is one of the more comical parts of the video, just ignoring the clearly invisible person for a second. This guy is running with his face right up against the iron sights. I imagine this is what you would look like if you were to actually put your face right up against it and started running to the enemy. But going back to the invisible T-posing man, I've just got a couple of theories of what this could be. The first, obvious, incompetence. Second, unreleased invisible camo that you can buy in store for $10. And the third being the character not rendering because they're out of range, similar to how most rendered walls and buildings eat my tank shots in this game. And in the next scene, we see someone just hurdle over the sandbag, followed by the famous motivational saying by our soldiers, sailors, and airmen,
"Keep moving! We've taken a German opening!"
I can't believe that was real. When I heard that, I physically cringed. Like, whoever implemented that voice line is so out of touch with the audience and the game itself. But everything you've seen so far is, yeah, it's sloppy. It's not the best, but the thing that did it for me, this one thing had me on the verge of tears from laughter, because I was genuinely convinced, on God, this was AI generated. And I say that because AI, while it can be uncanny in the accuracy, it can sometimes screw up things like hands, which can be a dead giveaway. But just seeing the clip, or the end block clip, whatever you call it, just sticking out the top, this was just too much for me to handle. There are a couple of theories as to what this could be. The first being it's a Battlefield 5 style clip extender. Some people thought this was also a way to balance out the British iron sights by destroying the American ones. And like I said previously, just general incompetence of whoever was in charge of approving and making this, because it doesn't appear in one clip. It happens in almost all of the ones that have an M1 Garand in it, and it also just goes to show just how out of touch whoever made this is with the audience that this video would appeal to. I am obviously not saying that I'm perfect when it comes to firearms accuracy. I do the best I can, but I do make little mistakes here and there, but I always try to be as accurate as possible, because I know that you watching this most likely love your historical as well as detail to these kinds of things. So just having this sloppy job is just essentially a spit in the face and so out of touch with what this video would appeal to. And another thing that, you know, I can't actually comment on, but people seemed very upset about, is the Garand penetrating the shield of the German gun. Whether this is realistic, I couldn't tell you, but people are a little bit upset about this. And throughout the entire video, there's just this German guy who's, mind you, he's all alone. So they're essentially showing that, yeah, this is your average teammate who runs off and solos, but he's just staring at the sky, all dramatic. And the video ends in a very dramatic way with these two soldiers having a staring competition, and my mate honestly summed it up pretty well. But all in all, I was legitimately shocked that this is what people who are on a payroll, or, you know, they could be an unpaid intern, but people on a payroll sat together and approved this video. Whether it was some manager porting the task off to some low-level intern and realizing they're screwed because this is all they had at the due date, I have no freaking idea, because they could have just gotten some random person off Reddit and given them the tools to make something. And I can vouch for this, because almost any game that has a fan-made trailer that you might be familiar with is usually a really well done video, because the people that made these fan-made trailers are passionate about the game and they know how they can sell it to someone that might not be familiar with it. But look, the thing is, what was this trailer appealing to? If I hadn't heard of Hell Let Loose, I would have thought it was some free, fast-paced shooter similar to Enlisted or Battalion 1944, and that's because of the excess running and gunning in the trailer, which is a very big point of criticism for a lot of people, because they think Team 17 is going to come along and turn this into the next Battlefield or Call of Duty, which I initially thought was people being hysterical. But in 6 to 12 months time, I do implore you to come back to this video and tell me that I was wrong and an idiot for thinking that people were being hysterical. And this July, they're supposed to implement a tutorial system, which will be interesting to see if they emphasize the importance of this being a team-based game, or if they're going to ignore these crucial gameplay elements and essentially treat it like, oh, you just want to throw your body towards the enemy over and over again and just run and gun. But nonetheless, this was possibly the funniest thing that I've ever seen. And if you enjoyed today's video, please do check out the video that is on screen, because I know you'll enjoy it. Anyways, my name is Tan2, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.